It always comes to this. More nice. Guys, back again doing another tattoo progress update today. Where I last left off, I showed off the third pass and water droplets added to the roses on my neck here. They're pretty much fully healed now. They're a little bit dry today. All of the flaking is done now, and there's really virtually no change fresh to healed, except I do find that with anything with anything related to these roses, I actually prefer them healed to fresh. I've always found that the purple and red were maybe even too bright when they were fresh. But as I've gone over on here many times, if the color isn't super vibrant when it's fresh, especially being so, this isn't color on black at this point, it's color on everything. All the different layers, if it's not super bright, whatever color it is, it's probably not going to be very bright when it heals. So you do have to kind of bank on going in a little bit brighter than you even want it to look. So with that said, I think these look better fresh than they do healed, healed than they do fresh. And I think that the neck roses were always a little bit better than the arm roses, with the exception of the ditch. I find that my neck is maybe just a little bit less weathered by life in general, and so it takes color a little bit better than my arm. And the worst of them has been the outer bicep rose, and it's, if anything, the only one that will maybe need a second pass on the water drops, because they are a little bit more subtle on this rose than they are anywhere else. So and that does include even just the second pass of the head roses. Still took better than the outer bicep rose did. So I do still have one more bigger rose on the back of my head to do the second pass of, and then I need to do another pass on the little ones on my face here. But after that, all of the roses are pretty much done. And I don't believe that they'll be getting, unless I completely change everything to some degree again, I think that will be the last of the roses, and I don't plan on doing any more. I've long talked about possibly blacking out the rose sleeve altogether, and then doing something over top of it, but I can't wrap my mind around that adventure right now. And doing something like that this far into it would be a complete infrastructure change and a rebuild, and that is a very long road and a very hard thing to wrap my mind around right now. So that will remain theoretical for the near future, and could be something that I do far down the road. I've had people go, "Why would you do that?" when I mentioned doing that, and it's like, the rose sleeve was always meant to be kind of a demo or a display piece for kind of like what is achievable over blackout, and it did its trick admirably enough. It's never really been the idea of having a bunch of big roses on my arms, though aesthetic, and I do think it looks nice, and I think it's the nicer looking of the two sleeves I have, to be honest. It's not really akin to my taste necessarily. I don't know if I blacked out the rose sleeve, if that would mean that I would redo the neck. I think that they're two separate entities, even though they are obviously all roses. I could have another sleeve and leave the roses on my neck, and it wouldn't drive me completely crazy. The big problem is that it's pretty interwoven with say my shoulder into my chest and stuff like that. So it's not a matter of I couldn't figure it out. It's just a matter of, do I have the energy to do it, and how much do I hate having the roses there? And the answer is, currently I don't hate the roses that much, or want to change them that much, and I also don't really have the energy for that project right now. So for people who like the rose sleeve, it will at least be around for quite a long time. If I ever do go to cover it, it won't be one simple blackout. It will be multiple passes and done in multiple sections, so that would be a large endeavor. And so it will be staying right where it is, and maybe forever. But if at all, it will be there for a very long time. With that said, I do have another session coming up with Terry this week, and that one won't be so maligned as potentially removing the rose sleeve would be. We're going to be doing the second pass on the eye here, which was done only 6 weeks after the blackout of the old face of the monster here. And yeah, that'll be a short matter, so I have some other stuff planned as well. But I'm not going to get too much into that. That'll be its own video. I don't think that there'll be too much contention over whether that's for the best or not, but whenever I change anything in my suit, I get some kind of a dissension about it. But there will be a little bit of changes happening again, and I think if you're watching me and you've been a supporter for this long, that should be par for the course. You know, I am EphemeralRemy, and that should, to people who know what that word means, it means more or less short-lived. So don't get too attached to anything for my sake. You know, I'm in and out of these things, and though I do like some of my pieces as they are, that doesn't mean that they won't change with time. And I think that should be just life in general. I don't think that tattoo has to be forever, and I think that I've proven that. I don't think there's any reason to be upset about it either. People actually ask me all the time if I miss any of my old tattoos, and the only thing that I ever actually miss is the blackout sleeves, the blackout bodysuit, just because it was clean. You know, when you have a lot of very loud tattoos, which I do have now, again, it almost impacts the way that you look in every single outfit and everything you wear. And the blackout was just a nice neutral kind of, it went with everything. You didn't really have to think about it, you know. And jewelry looked great on blackout. So, yeah, everything that I have now for tattoos is very loud again, and makes a statement no matter what you're wearing. Where the blackout, though it does make a statement, it was just very kind of subtle and low key. And I did enjoy the simplicity of it. That will never change, by the way. I am thrilled that I did the blackout and had the blackout. I think it was maybe a little too tame for me and a little too uncomplicated for me long term, but there were definitely benefits to the black on its own, and if I was to bring anything back at all, it would be that. And funny enough, there are a lot of people who have been inspired to black out their tattoos by what they've seen me do, and some of them near and far, they didn't think they would like the blackout, and then once they have it, they're like, you know what, I'm going to leave this for a while. And that ends up being a benefit to them in the long run anyway, because the longer you leave your blackout, the easier it will be to cover. So, for example, Ashlyn here at the shop has the better part of 2 black sleeves, and the first one she did with the intention of doing work over top of it. Now, it's been over 2 years now, so she's liking the black a lot more than she thought, and now she's committing to doing a second blackout sleeve. It's in pieces still, but not everybody likes being blacked out that much. We have another girl that worked at the shop here that she's had her leg half blacked out for over a year and hasn't touched it again since. So yeah, it's not for everyone, but she will eventually finish that. And same thing for her. She planned to do stuff over top of it, but I think that she's enjoying just having it black. And I think blackout in general is one of those things that I didn't think I would like it as much as I did either. When I did mine, I've told the story on here years ago, but I'm not going to recap the whole story, but I enjoyed the blackout much more than I expected to, and that's why I did so much of it. It became kind of a force of nature and took over a lot more real estate than I would have ever expected at first. It was not a conscious choice when I did the first patch of black on my arm that I would do most of my entire body. That just kind of grew with my comfort. And I knew even when that was done that there would be more, but it was impossible to say what that would look like, because at that time there was almost no way to know how far we could go without testing the waters with small things like the moon on my hand and the original black on black rose on my other hand. So obviously the sky was the limit, but that we had to figure out on our own, because as I've moaned about on here before, there was no readily available source of information regarding any of this. So which leads me nicely into the continual learning of my left sleeve and the development of this being session 108. You can see this is settling in nicely and not fading back as much due to the larger but still complicated color palette of the strictly pink, black and blue green that we're using here. And the inside of it is healed up. We still need to get back into this chunk. That's actually what we're going to be doing next week. Rick and I will be bringing this same bigger chunks of pink and extreme greeny blues and quite a bit more black. I think the black will really help this thing stand out, where right now it is standing up better than it was, but I think that black on top of the color on black will really help pop that thing out. So I'm actually really excited for that appointment. We had a session today on the lower forearm area, the outside of it, and do the same thing. More black, that green-blue mix, and then the flaming pink mixed with the cantaloupe orange, which seems to be working wonders. And Rick didn't do the talons slash the nails on the Cthulhu claws here, because he's still not exactly sure what the approach is going to be. One of my most irritating sessions I've had with him was when he used the green in there, and it interacted rather poorly with the yellows and grays that he's used in there, and it just kind of muted it even more. So I think he's been apprehensive to touch those again, and I don't really blame him. But obviously we do have to address them eventually, and we've been a long time since we've hit the hand, and about the only thing that's in there well is some of the purple, some of the light blue, and the suction cups, and then the black lines, which thank goodness those haven't gone away. But that hand needs to be addressed eventually here, but I think that Rick wants to get this under control before we move down there, and I have given him pushback on the direction of this, so we've had to restart a few times now, obviously. So here we are 108 sessions in. It's very clear that I'm in no hurry, and as long as we're getting it sorted out, I don't really give a fuck how long it takes. And again, this is not a good case argument against the power of color on black, by the way. We've basically finished the sleeve multiple ways. It just isn't up to my goal of saturation or color pop. So until it is, I'm not walking away from it, and I don't care how old that makes me at the end of it. I have I've aged a few times since we've worked on this sleeve. My birthday is coming up, and that's why I mentioned I will be 3 years older than I was when we started this soon. So if that doesn't make me one of the most patient tattoo consumers or clients that's ever lived, I don't know what would, but here we are. I don't doubt that this will be much the same as it is up here, although I will say that the back stretch of my forearm here has been very mute. It's been there, it's been staying, but it's been one of the worst areas, so I'm hoping that this will help it be a little more clear and a little more vibrant. But we'll just keep hitting it until it's where I want it to be. Like, for example, I actually will do a little more in here, obviously, even though we have the color that I want in there now and the pop that I want. I think that can be firmed up and boldened yet, where that pink is going over a lot of blue and purple and stuff. There's parts of it that could be pinker, and that will be the case when you're mixing colors. Things are going to settle out at different points in the skin, and like I said, as long as we're on the right track now, finally. And I think that having that reference there for Rick that I did up has really helped him kind of see what my vision for this sleeve is, as opposed to trying to give him instructions that are hard to illustrate, just through words. Anyway, I will be talking to you guys here again in a few days when I have my next session with Terry. Take care.